absolute cinema. That is what Country gave to you before the break in a stunning 1v2 versus Azat and iFrozzy. Plenty more to come because we've got 2 more games coming your way shortly. But before we get there, Swizzy and Pixie, it really did look like we were finally going to see a victory royale go their way in Mini Minor, but they just weren't able to make things happen on the high ground. I mean, they were, but they weren't able to achieve their final goal.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their points, they'd be really happy with their performance in this game. Of course, they've already pretty much qualified now to the major finals via consistency. So maybe it begs the question, did they even want to win that game? I don't know. Maybe you can make your own mind up about that. But no, another really good game from these guys. Another great performance up on height. We spoke about it at the beginning of the day, how prominent these guys can be when it comes to the high ground. We know what both of them can do. And then when it came down to these games, they're kind of proving it. They answered a lot of the questions that we had to Carter, showcasing exactly why they are the first and second from our last global championships.
Yeah, I mean, this is a duo that we don't have to worry about. Top of the consistency standings, dominating every single match today. Obviously, they haven't closed one out, but it's not their worry currently. I mean, they're doing what we expected them to, and I'm happy that it's happening here in FNCS.
They're such a gift to us, Swizzy and Pixie, and they're definitely lighting up the Heat 2 lobby. And you can see there the standings so far. Already qualified via their golden tickets, their victory royales. Country, Jubot, Syaz, and Scary Sean cheating Yanis. But will Swizzy and Pixie be the next ones to pick up that ticket? We'll soon find out. Interesting to see some names we're not used to. I know we did say that Heat 2 maybe isn't as stacked as Heat 1, but we're definitely seeing some impressive performances from some of these newer names. For you, though, I'm wondering why Vox and Vanya aren't capitalizing still. We did see them make it to the end game, though, Takata. So do you think they've fixed their issues enough to actually make it to the final 2?
So compared to game 1, they got another zone pull that was close to their drop spot, and I honestly thought that this was going to be the game. They were primed up in terms of positioning. Once those zones started closing, they actually pulled that zone that's into Storm and ended up having height originally. They were good on mats, they were good on surge, they were good on loot, and they even were able to hold height for a little bit moving forwards, but for some reason, they ended up losing it. They couldn't hold on. Maybe they just didn't get a refresh in time, weren't able to recuperate those materials needed to hold on to the high ground. But anyways, you know, they finished top 9th in the end. It's the best performance that they've had today. It's bumped them 6 placements up on the leaderboard. They're now in that top 10. So I'm hoping that this is just the start of their matches. And despite that little hiccup in the final 2, they're able to close it out.
Yeah, remember Wox went down, didn't he, early on in that game? They had to then go get that reboot. Kind of sets your entire game back, kind of, you know, makes it so that you're late to a lot of those rotations, those materials you're having to invest a lot earlier. So it didn't seem like they could ever really recover from that, and you're almost playing a bit of catch up, but they're still not doing too bad. So not bad from these guys.
Let's scroll down. Let's see pages 2 and 3 to see who really does need to catch up or at least get themselves a victory royale despite the odds being stacked against them. Interesting to see Dandy Puzo and Werix, they weren't able to capitalize on their early promise in the Heat. But also, shockingly, Mr. Savage and Bello, they are really needing to have a solid game. And let's face it, the odds were stacked against them because they have such a contested drop spot, Mini Minor.
Yeah, they do, but this is nice to see them making this end game right here. It's actually boosted them in the standings quite a lot. They got an 8th place here.
I hope, but I'm not.
From what they were trying to do, it seemed like they were actually trying to play the Storm in that sort of 9th zone. They chucked down a couple of pieces. They were hoping
I hope,
for that
but
pullback. I mean, actually,
not looking good.
To me, it seemed like they did it too early. The zone pullback did come in the 10th zone, and that's why Velo was actually able to stay alive. Lots of weight on his shoulders, of course, as well. Trying to make his first grand finals. Not easy to clutch up in those situations, so big ups to him. But just seemed like they played that heal off and that Storm a little bit too early before that pullback came through.
It's really interesting to see new names, as I mentioned earlier. Burke and Zany, they're 2 guys I'm not really familiar with, but they've been so consistent across the 3 games we've had so far. Takata, are you familiar with these names?
You know what? I haven't seen too much of them, especially in this season, but in terms of them getting literally top 10 in every single match, today, 4th, 7th, 4th, almost top 5 in every match. They're right behind Swizzy and Pixie in terms of qualifying already through consistency. They really have not much more to do in these next matches, and honestly, I'm quite impressed.
I'm impressed, but I want to see what they can do in a grand final against Europe's best of the best. 2 more games remain, though, before we find out who makes it. So let's head back to Taco and 11-2K.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Look, the games are not disappointing. They are entertaining, and I feel like it's only going to keep getting better as we see more desperation from some of these teams lower down in the standings, Taco. You're going to have to pull out everything if you want to be playing next weekend.
Without a doubt. I mean, we know that there are only 2 lobbies remaining. Game 4 is where we're really going to see some of these teams having to overcome the amount of pressure that is beginning to be placed on all of their shoulders. If you are not already within that top 10 of the consistency, well, this might be your best shot to get it done because Game 4 underway. What I'm really waiting to see, though, Levin, is whether or not Tayson and Ghost are going to be able to go on the recovery tour of a lifetime. We saw them finally touch down on Squibbly in the last lobby, albeit it was with a little bit of woes behind it since there was a third-party intervention kind of tagging away, chipping away at their HP, but we did see them at least make it to the end game. It's just about pushing all the way through. And that's where things start to become rather complicated because they are not the only team that is looking for that same kind of mentality.
I think the biggest thing that is troubling is that it feels like they're scared. Look at the drops here, right? They don't even want to fight them at the sort of gas station. They're looking to swerve and dodge into the POI, and there's players taking shots at them. And so already starting with an HP disadvantage, thankfully those players will take shots at Xterry as well. And so hopefully they can recover things now. A 49th for 49th and a 19th is not what they were expecting out of today thus far, but we've seen people overcome bigger hurdles with 2 games left.
To win the
so
game,
it's going
the
to
only way.
require an all-time performance from the 2, but definitely talented enough players to make something happen. Zany and Burke, incredibly consistent today. I believe they are second when it comes to consistency standings. And so one of the teams who right now is looking very comfortable when it comes to securing a consistency place for the major finals. And a team that a lot of people are going to have to learn a bit more about because they definitely have looked better than what maybe people would have given them credit for.
Okay.
I think it's really just the momentum too. They've been consistently contested by
It lola
and
napin tama pin.
have come out on top practically every single lobby so far, I want to say. And with that in mind, I mean, it's such a huge catalyst, I think, to a player's confidence. But now, Ghost, just at the perfect timing, managing to close out on a knock there against Adapted. But Tayson just dropped so incredibly low. Both him and Ghost are just not able to really duke it out with the HP. But Ghost does get the siphon, finds the body there, but he had to split away momentarily from Tayson. So now Xterry will also have the opportunity to kind of recuperate his shields too. This is a tough spot to be in. This is Major 1 Finals, avoiding last chance qualifier, potentially on the line here right now for Ghost and Tayson. You can see Ghost, he's looking to see if he can find an angle on this shot.
Not the team coming, no one will
Xterry is not
touch
gonna make
this.
it easy for him. Ghost with the jump overhead and the crushing finish there now out of Xterry, but they've been collapsed on. Teams witnessing what was taking place elsewhere. Zoomer and Fury fully at the winning point.
It didn't matter who came out on top of that. They were bound to fail with the third party coming
to win
through.
game 5,
A
if not,
disastrous
rotate in
outcome
final.
for Tayson and Ghost in particular, who again will be on many people's prediction boards to qualify. They only have 2 games to muster up enough points to maybe squeeze their way into the top 10 most consistent teams. It is going to be a massive mountain to climb. Crete has his own mountain to climb now in a 2v1 here. That doesn't look too favorable.
And the worst part as well for Crete is just knowing that they are so much closer in terms of consistency. 65 points, but V's gonna be taken out. Faded and Khan have rolled up to the vicinity now. They're a little bit local, but Faded will be sent the opposite direction off that overdrive. A little bit awkward here, but it's not going to deter them too heavily. They are still looking to chase this one out. They know just how weak Masters actually is, but it's going to be intercepted right now from Clapsy and killed. Faded, Khan, now they're contending with an entirely new duo here, and one that is healthy enough to definitely push back, so that'll cause them to have a little bit of a second thought for continuing this engagement.
Yeah, and he's flying towards these guys. Wanted to maybe close things out quickly. Specs and Mules, we've seen them fighting defensively to some success, and we might see it again here. Swizzy and Pixie, you don't ever want to bite off more than you can chew. Swizzy will do well to keep Pixie up and get him away. Can he create the space to get the revive off? Specs and Mules not getting too greedy and just backing off a bit, but that might be their demise. Pixie does get taken out, and so now Swizzy forced alone in between two teams. He is truly stuck in between a rock and a hard place. He has to hope that these guys forget about him and just allow the time to pass by. That did not go how I was expecting it to, Taco.
If anything, it might have even indirectly helped Swizzy out a bit with that third-party presence, but Forge and Nagi, they're not going to stick around, and surely Muruz Specs are going to realize this, and they know what kind of contenders those two can be. Checking in, though, to see what actually happened. Faded and Khan, they're punctual. They're willing to put an end to everything that they start, and the fact of the matter is that's just another 3 elimination points that they can add to the count. Extracito, though, alongside Dora, they're looking to go big or go home realistically. These lobby points, every elimination, every single placement is going to be the difference maker. We saw how much of a nail biter it came down to in yesterday's heats. How so many teams were able to actually overlap and overcome in the final moments there to just squeeze themselves into that top 10 for the consistency side of things. But for Dora and Extracito, it's only Cora that remains. Misha having already been eliminated pretty early on, but Overdrive Grenade is just sending them a little bit more scattered here. Or trying to buy some time, but that's gonna be the last Overdrive. Now it's all about, can you tuck yourself away in the build long enough, just delay. A lot of pizza slices here, at least, but both sides being aggressive. Dora, though, not able to find the closing shots. Fortunately for Dora, Exorcito is right there. Back him up, but a little bit messier than what they would have hoped for.
Yeah, almost gave the 2v1 away.
Just so surprised that Swizzy and Pixie were able to get the successful reboot opportunity, so that is a solid turnaround. O'Reilly and Reason, though, they've done a great job. We touched on it a little bit in the last Lobby 11 in terms of Reason and O'Reilly just looking to play largely for the consistency metrics, and while they are still inside that placement area, it's a little bit too close for comfort. They want to try and see if they can further overcome, see if they can continue to build up on that leaderboard section. And I believe all they really need to do is stay true to their methods, because so far it has worked out relatively well for them. Checking back in, though, Mr. Savage and Velo, that solo clutch out of Velo to turn up with the 8th place finish. It was a huge difference maker in their leaderboard standing.
Yeah, I mean, again, now if you're a Savage fan, you're gonna hope that they can really just squeeze as much out of the rest of these games as possible. Time is ticking away.
It's all gonna come down to the wire, though. I think that this is really the point where some of these veteran mentalities, you know, help settle some of the nerves here from Velo. He looked relatively cool, calm, and collected in that endgame, despite the fact that he was in such a rough position. So I do think that the chemistry has been built up relatively well in their short time of doing together.
Yeah, look, they've had some impressive cups, right, where they look like the real deal, a team that can, you know, contend to qualify for the summit. But if you can't make it to the final through heats, LCQ is not going to be any easier.
Vanya and Walks really just trying to establish a little bit of building side control, claiming a lot of space right now, kind of keeping Kaisers and Gonzo at bay too. The main thing now for Kaisers and Gonzo that they're gonna have to take into account is it won't be easy to rotate off without Walks and Vanya potentially moving first, because you never want to get pieced up along the way.
Yeah, I feel like for these guys, there's a lot to prove. In the case of Gonzo, especially, but he has looked good so far in 2026. Newer talent emerging onto the scene. Seti and Rax. Much more to be desired if you're a fan of these two. And for Seti to miss the finals would be his first final missed since 2021. Wow. Chapter 2, Season 6. I was my second season on the broadcast back when I was a new up-and-coming analyst next to Resub, eh?
Well, now that you're playing Mr. Worldwide, you know, doing the whole hosting, into the analyst, into the casting, when we gonna see you back in the playing? You know, you might as well hit the player side of things too. Just go fully on tour.
Trust me, nobody wants to see that, Taco.
I want to see that.
Nobody wants to see that. We'll spare the viewers that sight.
You never want to cut yourself short there, mate. But look, Polish Hat, Petro, Kiruo, Trexer, just so many teams that have had issues. Hey man, I understand lurk plays are everywhere right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, you're gonna go for it if the opportunity is there, and they'll be patient enough to wait. I don't know if this bait is gonna work out for them though. They're trying to bait the mist here, and I feel like it's just not. Like, I feel like Kido and Trex,
Your team's so evil.
Be quiet enough. Yeah, they pick it back up. I think they realize it's not happening. The footsteps disappeared. They realize they went in the other way onto the other side of Painted Palms.
This was still a pretty big commitment from this duo.
Ooh, hold on. They're moving in the right direction. Trexer might come to this side. Are they gonna get it? Oh, I hate watching these sometimes. I just, it's the anticipation. Go on.
Hey, they needed that one though. Kiruo eliminated. Now Trexer sent into a little bit of a panic here. This duo just continues trying to see what else they can gather. That's certainly going to help them in the surge department. And the 3 med kits to boot, because with Trexer and Kiruo having stuck around for so long, surely they had to have some form of white heals to be playing Storm in the first place.
It's good to see the patience paying off for them though.
Like this one though, multiple teams taking advantage of the healing from the cube. Machek and Pahawa though, they're gonna move off of Sandy's strip. Try to get some tags in along the way, but not gonna net anything just yet. Still fully aware of the fact that there are going to be other teams kind of trailing behind them, so still gotta be cautious with how you move into zone.
Pixie and Swizzy. They've been the most consistent team on the day that hasn't been able to pick up a win. And they looked in a good position to do it last game, but unfortunately, Cantry had something to say about that. But without him in the lobby, maybe, just maybe, this will be the game where they finally secure their position in the major finals.
There's probably multiple teams, at least in this heat, hoping that they find a victory royale, because all that means is a trickle-down effect, right? You have another team that's potentially pushed into that consistency placement falls potential, and that could be a huge difference maker here for that Major 1 Finals lobby. But the other benefit that Swizzy and Pixie had is just knowing that they've got enough points that even if they do get eliminated earlier than they would like to, I don't think that they're really at threat of losing their current position for quality.
Yeah, these guys are safe. They're gonna qualify regardless of what happens, and so we'll see just how much of a spoiler they play to the rest of the lobby. We've seen some teams do that already. Cough, cough, Heat 1, and so let's see how much drama these guys can cause with how they choose to play the rest of these games. Down below on Surge though, so we're bigging them up. They do have to put in some effort into this game if they want to stay in it for much longer.
Asking shall receive. Pixie, Swizzy, wasting no time. Getting some good tags in, but it's still, well, the Surge is definitely jumping for them as the rest of the lobby also continues to build on their net Surge, but Seti and Rax, they're starting to get a bit desperate here now. Shields fully down now for Seti. Rax is soon to follow. They can't get some more shots going. Surge is going to take them out before they even get a real fighting chance in this lobby. Seti just trying to chase down Specs. Miru's looking to just keep charging forward. Wants to get away from this lobby. They can smell the desperation clinging to Seti. And Rax, as they continue chasing this one out. But Specs, he's incredibly low too. Rax, Seti, this might be their best chance to go for the refresh. They're going to need some Siphon to come into play here if they want to keep charging through this one. And Rax, Seti, they'll find one. Can they get the other? Because Rax, he still can't afford to take these ticks in Storm, and he's not going to be able to work his way into zone. Seti with the Siphon will be fine, but now he's left as a solo.
This is going to be tough. He needs to squeeze more points out of this game, but it's just not going to be an easy one. And now there's a player in his box. That is it for Seti and Rax. If you want to see them in the major finals, they're going to have to win game number 5. But let's see who wins game number 4 here. A fight for the pad up on the top of the mountain peak between Wox and Gonzo. Pixie and Swizzy on the other side of the zone, planning their rotation. In a good spot to take it though as well. They have the elevation advantage. Wox loses Vanya in this exchange at the top of the mountain for the launch pad. So we've seen Vanya clutch to the attacker. We're going to have to see Wox do it now.
Wox is certainly capable of doing just that, but first wants to see if he can try and pinpoint some damage to just be able to focus exclusively on where he wants to send himself with this overdrive grenade. So far, no one's really revealed enough of themselves to really provide Wox an ample opportunity, but now Jewel, shot's just not going to hit though, and one more time, the search threshold just continues to climb a little bit further out of reach here. Up and down though, some shots
Why
will
so
be
much
negative
bad
for
team?
Wox on these later rotating duos.
Dodging
Shumich
it
not going to
right
be able
now.
to survive, and that is a great time for the knock to come through here for Wox, but of course,
And I need you
can't
to
afford to go for
take
that body
it.
loot anytime soon. He's just going to choose to stay in this elevated position. As a solo, decent amount of material, now climbing his way through that search threshold. There is some serious opportunity here to clutch things out.
It's not a bad spot to be in whatsoever. An update on Swizzy and Pixie. How are they playing in this lobby? Up against Dan Puzo, they take him down. And again, the aggression from these two is what we want to see. Maybe a peek into how they'll be
Started on
playing
high
in
gun.
next weekend's final lobbies.
Don't
Big game for
do
Savage and Velo, though,
anything.
Taco.
There's some teams that are very injured directly underneath them. Velo, Savage, they can smell it. They want to go entirely for those
Don't
finishes,
do
but
anything
they're not going to
dumb.
be able to claim them just yet. They'll have to pull back. They don't want to forfeit the secondary height position. Whether or not they know that it's Wox as a solo just above them, doesn't matter. They're looking to just try and stay moving with the zones. But Dora tried to go aggressive onto Savage there. Unfortunately, Savage and Velo are going to be able to turn that
Who
one
did
around.
that
That might
kill?
also give them a further extension in this game.
Okay, nice.
Now looking healthy on that search threshold, but the materials, they're going to need more. They've got some heals to work with, handful of splashes, but now stuck at the backside of zone, teams that have already made their way in. That slight hiccup
Stop
dealing
shooting
with
up.
Dora has caused them to just be a little bit behind the pack. They have to conceal themselves a little bit better and also be fully aware of so many teams ahead of them just lurking on these walls.
See Fury and Zuma up top, looking comfy, but for how much longer? That will be the question. There will be teams in this lobby that look to take it from them. Swizzy and Pixie, their job is not finished. They will continue their ascension towards the top of the standings. Pixie gets caught in a box, and so that leaves Swizzy fighting alone.
Solid scenes though for Reason and Noah Riley. They're gonna head straight towards that low side, front side of zone. Forge and Nagi a little bit caught up right now with Fury and Zoomer, but at the same time here, this might be exactly what Nagi and Forge were after because they've managed to overtake height. They don't have a whole lot of materials, but it might not matter with the way that the zone is pulling. They're just gonna choose to continue ascending upwards. They've got the front side position, and they're looking to just try and suppress everyone else. Gonzo still sticking towards that low tier, but Noah Riley and Reason could really play a lot of the low ground here.
I see mid to
They've
shut
got
it down.
so much material. They're just gonna keep claiming some space, but Reason, I think his intentions might be to go up.
Dame far win. Went it the only way.
You know that's where he wants to be. It might be too high for him to keep climbing though. Just enough to get up on some elevation. Forg, Nagi, oh dearie me. Forg will take some 4 damage. And they will look up now for height and see nobody there. Nagi in the storm.
He can't get down.
Maybe he might have the element of surprise here, Taco.
Problem is, whoever he drops on is likely going to be able to scout him out. Fortunately, the materials are going to be enough, but it's Gonzo who gets ruined in the process. Nagi needed that shot. He needed the siphon, but he's still trying to play from inside the storm. He's got to play catch up with Munchak. Got to be another one. Nagi is just fully locking in despite Forge's slip up. It doesn't matter. Nagi is not deterred. He knows just how much they need every single one of these placement points. Noah Riley, Reason, they're not looking to meet the same fate though. They've now comfortably taken over the high ground, and Nagi, his run might be cut short here.
There are 2 players that the fans in Dusseldorf will want to see winning games, and that is Noah Riley and Reason, and this just might be their chance to secure a spot to do it. Noah and Reason up in the skies looking to shock their opponents into the storm. We've seen big clutches already in this tournament. But will this just be the classic height win from Reason and Noah? How many years of competitive Fortnite have we seen them do this? Too many. Noah and Reason will be playing in our major finals. That is what the fans wanted to see, Taco.
And they were looking so solid throughout the course of the lobbies earlier here today, Levin. So to see them finally bring one home, that's got to be a huge celebration coming through for Reason and Noah Riley. But Frankie, what do y'all have to say?
That was as smooth peanut butter mini mine. I feel like we called that win probably in the 10th zone.
Yeah, we did. It was just frenzy up on height. It just seemed like everyone was trying to go for it, chopping down, so many players trying to take it. And at that point in the competition, everyone's trying to go for it. Some of the teams that are further on down to Carter, they need a win, so they try and go up and just do anything that it takes to get there. But sometimes it just takes that experience. It takes that that level of patience, I suppose, from a team and 2 players that have played for such a long time at the top level, just to know it's all right. We'll play our maps, we'll try and find some refreshes on mid ground, and then take the height later on down the line to win the game.
Yeah, this does really put a smile on my face. We talked about it earlier, but I mean, back in 2024 duos when Reason was playing with Fadil, they were the best duo. They were getting top 5 in all the majors. They were looking incredibly strong. Trios just didn't quite go their way, and once the season started, Reason couldn't find that duo that he worked well with, even trying to play with Fadil. Now ended up with Noah after switching countless times, and we weren't really sure how it was gonna go. Both the players have the experience, but just in terms of season performance, it wasn't quite living up to our expectations or more what we wanted to see from each of these players. And now they have done it. They have got themselves a slot in the major finals. This is what you love to see.
There are 11 more spots in those finals up for grabs and 1 more game to go. So let's head to a break. And when we come back, we'll be getting things ready for game 5.